thing he said is that if you really know the why, the how will happen on its own, which comes back to your point. If you really know why you're doing this, I mean, why are you working as a teacher? Why are you a parent? Why, whatever, why are you a musician? Why do you like doing those things? If that's really clear in your head, you're going to live a fulfilled life. But if you're just doing it just to pay the bills, I mean, sometimes we're forced to do things just to pay the bills. But if that's just the motivation, then you're not going to, when you're going to die, let's say when you're going to die, just like you mentioned, you won't feel that sense of satisfaction because you've been living a life where it had no great meaning to you. And it comes back to Nietzsche's point. You need to live a life in such a way that you would want to live it over and over again. So that's the standard you're setting yourself. And the only way you can do that is by taking full responsibility, not by blaming others. And he talks about the master and the slave mindset. He says that the slave mindset is actually following other people. So what's the cool thing right now? We'll do that. Oh, it's TikTok making those videos, right? So we do that. That's a cool thing right now to be accepted. But the master mentality would be that really doing the things you think is right for you, even if it's at the expense of social interaction, moving away from people for some time, and being alone maybe for some time, because that's the thing you need to do. But it's only by being alone for certain periods of time that allows you to explore fully yourself and be the person you are. And he says that if you spend too much time with people, actually, you end up getting their characteristics rather than developing your own. So we need to have that fine balance between our own time and time we do spend in society.
Right.
So that's important as well.
I think it's really interesting what you're saying, and I would like to put a question forward, maybe for us to reflect on, based on the whole concept of existentialism. We've kind of come up to the agreement that existentialism is all about fulfilling our goals, our needs, our wants, and everything. My question here is, don't you think society inhibits most human beings from achieving those goals of existentialism?
Great question. Damien, you were going to say something, right?
Yes. So it's like anything. Let's say an entrepreneur comes to you with an idea. Let's say I go to someone with an idea and say, look, from my perspective, I've come up with this idea and I think it's going to work. And then another person, let's say person B, says, no, that will never work. So person B being society. But then that is an opportunity for me to take the leap of faith in the direction that I want to go, regardless of what everyone else outside is saying. I will listen. I will be open to it. But at the same time, there's something inside of us that knows where we need to go, because we are all 100% unique. So so yes, society can limit us or can cause us to be limited, but at the same time, that is our choice to be limited or not, whether or not so I think from my perspective, it's definitely a living a life of being like a full life means to have a ruthless pursuit of elevating and focusing on your state of being. Your state of being needs to come first beyond everything. When you're interacting with people, if some people makes you feel bad, go inside and just focus on your state of being and do whatever you need to mother flowering do to get that to elevate and that needs to be the focus, because then you build a confidence, because you are raising your state of being progressively and consistently. And then anyone that comes and pokes at something, you then can observe that as an opportunity to grow. Whereas a lot of people can get caught up in society and say, oh, person B or Johnny says that this project's not going to work, and he says that I'm stupid. Oh my God, I'm stupid. He says, and then you spiral out and waste your present moment in believing in things that aren't elevating you. But sometimes you need to experience it for a certain amount of time so that you can finally let it go, so that you can deal with the pain, the sorrow, or the upset or whatever for a certain amount of time. But the quicker you let it go, the quicker you can jump out and elevate and continue on your path.
And Damien, I think you've mentioned a very powerful phrase here, the ruthless pursuit. I think for me, that's all about existentialism. Yeah. That ruthless pursuit, okay, of your own goals, okay. It might be selfish, it might sound selfish, but existentialism in itself is selfish, okay. And giving maybe over here some background information about my question, I was thinking, as we've said, and as Damien said, existentialism is deeply individualistic. It's about a person. My existentialism will be different from you, Damien, will be different from you, Girish, okay? But how society treats us, Girish, puts us in the same class at school, okay? Expect us to learn the same curriculum. In work, okay, you're put into cubicles, okay? You've got your scheme of work. All teachers have got their own list of duty as a teacher. Every employee has got a job description, okay? So the society tries to put us in a mold where our nature seeks existentialism. Our nature seeks that individuality. Okay. And I think that society has gone deeply wrong in that, and that's where all the major problem, all the societal problem is coming in, because we have failed to acknowledge our individuality, our existential pursuit, and we haven't supported every members of the society's ruthless pursuit, as Damien mentioned.
Yeah, but I would say that, yeah, we've got that part of industrialization and education system not promoting that kind of mindset. I agree with that. And you can see it even with the big universities, like, for example, MIT. They don't view Elon Musk to be, let's say, one of the leading scientists or companies they would like their students to emulate. For example, they never invited him to the campus. And Lex Friedman talks about it, who's a lecturer at MIT and who works with AI, actually. Just because he smokes weed.
It is, to be fair to you, Girish, the only university where I've read a quote somewhere from a student that said, the only time I was quoted by my name at the university was when I got my certificate. Everywhere else, it was just a student number.
Yeah, because I think he's pursuing something which is very existentialist in nature. He believes in something, like he believes in automated cars. He's going fully into it, and he's taking risk. He's sacrificing a lot. I think he had, like, for example, 3 or 4 divorces while he's been creating his companies, because his previous wife said that he's so obsessed with his work. So that's the sacrifice you pay. So as an existentialist, I would say there are lots. Yeah, it's ruthless. There are lots of sacrifices to be made. And okay, if I take myself as an example, let's say, so when I started to be a Zen Buddhist, let's say, it was very controversial in the family, because you know how it is in marriages. You've got like different religions, you have to follow this thing, that thing. So it was completely against the parents and against everyone else. But I still did it. And now I'm teaching people, and it's something I fully identify myself with the philosophy anyway. And it's part of me. And even if it's at the expense of a lot of things, but what I would say is that it wasn't done with a wrong intent. Like, I didn't pursue a path to hurt people. It was like a deep call to do this. And you can actually do it, but it comes at a certain
at a
price
certain
also.
cost.
Are we
Yeah.
willing to
And
pay the price?
yeah, and to be fair to you, I kind of join you in that path that you've taken into moving away from cultural commonness that a family may have. Okay, for example, in my case, from a very young age, I started developing my atheist thinking. Okay, from a very young age, and then that diversion started to take place, and there had to be some very bold, strong, and often ruthless decisions that had to be taken to the detriment of the family, to the family core. And that was it was deeply emotional, but it had to be done. If it wasn't done, I wouldn't be existing as an individual, but I would be existing for the family core. I would be just a bee soldier in a beehive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
and I think you've got tons to
this,
say too, Damien, about sacrificing stuff to exist, let's say.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, you know, focusing on the state of being, and you know, in the direction that you want to go, the opportunity cost of the other thing doesn't actually happen, because you trust that the path that you've taken is so worth it. That's so yeah. So whatever the vision is, like we mentioned now, Elon Musk, let's say he's on a ruthless pursuit to, his goal is to reach Mars. Even though he loses his wife, or all of these things, for him, I mean, I can imagine, I've never met the guy, but I can relate in terms of how I'm understanding it. And maybe that wasn't his highest excitement. But you know, at the beginning, maybe he was great and had a nice dinner, and you know, could talk about cool things. And then eventually, sometimes it's just more exciting to follow your dreams, and then by letting some things go that no longer spark your interest, and then you let it go, to open up space for something more beautiful and more in alignment to your truth. So you know, as we're growing and evolving, we are finding out, we are aligning with our, you know, if you're on the path of choosing your state of being and aligning with what makes you feel great, and choosing to elevate yourself, then you will, we mentioned earlier, you will attract certain people, and then they'll rub off their energies or their lessons and their perspective, and for a certain period of time it can be great, but we all change is the only constant. And eventually, sometimes some things need to be let go of, and for their best interest and your best interest, so that you free your energy up to allow something more beautiful and more in alignment, to allow you to attain whatever it is you want to experience, whether that be a landing on Mars. You know, so he needed to let go of that individual so that someone else could maybe take place, so that he could have different discussions, have a different energy in the space, to allow him to get an idea that will allow him to achieve that goal, which is something that sits within him, and lights him up and with joy. I say that from, I don't know Elon and the whole story, but that makes sense to me, because I can relate that in my own life, in terms of I have a goal, and some people you let go of, some people, but at the end of the day, yeah. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on that. So you got to let go of some things. It's like anything. It's like winter. It's like winter and summer and autumn. A tree doesn't hold. It needs to let go of its leaves when winter approaches. It can't keep on, because in order for it to thrive in all seasons, it needs to adapt to the times and let go of leaves, and so that it can regenerate new leaves. That's, you know, a snake needs to shed its skin. The phoenix needs to burn down to ashes so that the egg pops up again, and then and letting go of all what no longer serves, to reborn again. It's everything. Everything is evolving and changing, and needs to shed its skin. And sometimes you need to shed your person, your partner, or your old car, or whatever it is. You just gotta keep going, keep swimming, and having a great time while you're doing it.
Right. And I think, Damien, what the way you've talked about it, I think you've coined in perfectly the word enlightenment here. Okay, and everyone, whenever they are trying to achieve their own goals that they've set for themselves, or how they want to live their life, there will be some sheddings, there will be some loss, there will be some emotional output to it, okay, but that's the whole process of being enlightened, okay. And I think, and I would like, I've read, when I was researching this, there was a really powerful quote from Kant that says, talking about enlightenment, that said, enlightenment is when man's emergence from his self-incurred immaturity. So when you're emerging from your self-incurred immaturity, you're moving away from the bonds that society bind you to commonness, okay, and adopting and often embracing your individuality, okay. And that's what enlightenment means for me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's powerful. And we can connect that to the Dark Knight movie, of the trilogy, the second one, where Batman takes all the blame for Harvey Dent's death, and everything else, and he's fine with people hating him, chasing him, thinking he's the bad guy, because that was the right thing to do. So it's not about his reputation, what people think of him. It's about doing the right thing so that people don't lose their hope. So when the aim is the right one, I mean, in terms of morality, but we're not talking about religious morality here, but morality based on your firm beliefs. When you know that's the right thing to do, you're fine with losing people, losing trust, lots of things. You're fine with that when it's really clear in your head and you have a really high level goal. And that's part of the sacrifice, I would say. And it's hard, isn't it? It's really hard, but it was never meant to be easy. And I would just add that the higher your ideals are, the more you try to live life in a very straight, proper, pure manner, let's say, the more hurt you're going to have to overcome, the more you get problems, actually. Because I think people cheat or they do things they shouldn't be doing, so that because they're not courageous enough to really own their shit, I would say. That's why people behave the way they are behaving. But if you're really courageous and you speak the truth, you act as the high ideals, you're going to get problems. You're going to be misunderstood. But it's part of the game. And that's why Nietzsche talks about courage. It's about really taking that responsibility. I mean, take the blows. And like Damien said, actually, you need to, at some point, enjoy that challenge, that darkness. Because it's not about denying darkness. That's why you said it's violent also when you read Nietzsche. But it is violent. I mean, the world is violent. People are getting raped. I was reading about the soldiers found in Iraq, and they said that the Taliban there, they were raping like women, young boys, young girls, and it's crazy. And these things happen. It's part of life, and yeah, we need to look at things the way they are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look at things neutrally, I think is what we were like working as a human, working towards attaining, is to no matter what happens out there, is to look at things as neutrally as possible, so that you can just glide through and when there are the blows that come, then you kind of take it with a neutral perspective, as neutral as you can, and fuel it with optimism, and so that you can continue on your path. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Ashley, oh, there we go.
Yeah, sorry, I had this small issue. Yes, Sammy.
Cool. Yeah.
All right.
No, that was very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Any last words before we leave?
Samalama Dumalama, you assuming I'm a human, what I gotta do to get through the I'm superhuman and never made a rubber, so that anything you say is ricocheting off me, a glue off to you. What's up?
Wow. That was amazing, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm always fascinated with people that can speak That's amazing. Yeah, that's the beauty of human nature.
Yeah. Cool.
No, but for me, in terms of, listen, when we talk about existentialism, it's about that quest. And I think maybe the way society should evolve now, it should start embracing its individuals' pursuit instead of trying to move more towards a common pursuit. Okay, and that's where our benefit will be. The society is changing. People are having different kind of dreams. You have people emerging that you had Steve Jobs, you have Elon Musk, you have many great people, eccentric people doing amazing things, which in the past couldn't happen. So there is hope. There is hope, guys. And I think the society is moving towards a better place. Yes, we had that big industrial era that we are still feeling its ripple effect of, okay, but it will wane off. It will wane off at some point, and people will start embracing their individuality, but also respecting other people's individuality. I think that's the best hope that we can have for the society.
Yeah, and it's the best thing to do when you think about it logically. If people are really pursuing what they are really very good at, they are at their fullest potential. That's where they can have more impact at work, in the personal life. And it's good for society in a sense. But I think it's the fear in people which makes governments or individuals want to control things. We are scared. We don't want to take risk, and that's why control comes into place, I would say. So we need to find a way to find that off. But we don't know when it's going to happen. By that time, I think we need to have that courage to do what we have to do at the expense of certain things, but it's the right thing to do.
And Girish, I would like to add up, in terms of government, in terms of controlling, it is easier to hold a rock than a bunch of sand, isn't it? It's easier to hold a rock than a bunch of sand. So that's what it is. Okay, we are sand rather than rocks. Okay,
we should be rocks.
Yeah,
we should become rocks. Definitely. I think that's existentialism, right?
Yeah. And if we go deeper into that thinking, even if we are sand particles, okay, what society does, okay, it makes us become glass.
Yeah.
Okay, it makes us become glass, and that glass at some point in time can break, can
easily
fracture.
Broken.
Yeah, I think that's a very good ending from my side.
Very good analogy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Very cool. That was a great chat, actually. I don't know whether we stuck to the scheme of work or...
No, we didn't, but...
Well, but I think
I love it that way.
I think what needed to be said was said, and so that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a good chat.
It was amazing.
Yeah, we'll end it here. Next week, we'll pick another topic if you guys are free.
Yep, absolutely.
And we'll roll with that.
Awesome. Actually, it was lovely to meet you.
Yeah, me too. And pleasure.
I'll probably bump into you sometime, either back on the podcast or at Northfields or anywhere.
At Northfields. Listen, if you're coming by, do come and meet me. Or find Girish. We'll come and